This episode is sponsored by No Prisoner Productions.
Welcome to New and In Between. I'm your host, Quinn Maddox, and this is my therapy in the valley. Real talk for real life, hope when you're stuck, healing when you're hurting, and wisdom for what's next. Maybe you're stepping into something new, maybe you're stuck in between, but either way, this space is for you. So lean in, because here we don't just talk about life, we get the tools to truly live it out. New and In Between. Okay, welcome back to New and In Between. I'm your host, Quinn Maddox. This is my guest, Debby Coda, and we just moved from one location to the next. So we were discussing just her whole journey through the music industry, and we got to the part where she had she's entered into the world of DJing, and just how her mind was opening up from her use of drugs and DJing and her new world that she was in. So continue, Debbie, go from there.
So basically during the period that I was in Miami, remember I was originally meant to be there for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously the whole Ciroc Girls movement took off, and Puff was like, I need you in LA, but I can't let you leave Miami. Like, we need to make this very solid and bring this initiative to, everywhere basically is what they wanted. So he's like, I think I'm gonna keep you here another year. Which at the time I was like, great, because I'm having a good time,
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew that, his schedule would have been intense, and it would have been fun because obviously he's a party animal,
Mm-hmm.
Which he is. It was actually quite great working for somebody that would call you at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning asking if you were at Space and how good is it, and like my response was like, it depends on how high you are. And then like he'd show up in his golf cart that he drove down the motorway down the R95 from Star Island to Space in his golf cart and his pajamas, and my experiences were very good, but I started to hear towards the end certain things, like I heard about Cassie getting hit and bits and pieces, and like I was saying to you yesterday, like now, like looking back on it, the woman that I am today, and also the woman I was before drugs, I don't know if I could have worked for somebody knowing that they did that, because I was always the woman that people would come to with those kind of problems, and I would dissolve it or get them away from that guy and all that kind of thing. But like, it really shows me as well how drugs can really influence your morals and your mentality, because they made me really just not give a fuck about anything, which in some ways was very liberating and free, because as you know, I spent my years constantly caring and micromanaging everything. So to suddenly not care about anything had its purpose, and positives and negatives, so there was that kind of talk going on, and again, it's like, even though I didn't do nothing about it, because even when I'd see Cass, she wouldn't tell me anything, even though we were friends and close. I used to be doing drugs with them in the bathroom, and it was like normality, and you know me, how I was before. Remember how I felt about people that did drugs? I used to think that people that did drugs were weak, and I think this is why I always stayed away from cocaine, because that was the drug that made me feel like, oh, weak people and this and that. So I always stayed away from that.
See, for me, when I you didn't make it public, I knew, but you didn't seem like you were off your game
ever. I really managed to hold myself well in public. People felt like I was just rising, and at one point I was becoming locally famous. People were coming up to me in clubs asking for pictures and autographs. That used to annoy me though. That gave me an insight of what fame could be like, and I did not like it at all. It felt very overwhelming. I mean, it could be because I was high, but at the time it just felt like a lot, and I wanted to hide. I wanted to go in a dark corner and just enjoy the music and not be in any of that. It started to get too much for me. And bit by bit, as I got bigger as a DJ in Miami, the more and more I came away from Ciroc, and I started
Remember when I came to Miami by myself to see Beyonce. She was on, I forget which tour it was, and I came to Miami and I went to the show and I had reached out to you. I'm like, I'm in Miami, and then we were supposed to get up a few times, but I felt like every time you were like, oh no, I have to do this or I have to do that, or and we kind of were like missing each other. And I'm like, Debbie, I said, I felt like something was going on with you because you never would brush me off.
Yeah.
And then we did get up one time and we went to a club, and you just weren't. You weren't the same.
Yeah, I was not me.
Yeah, you weren't the same. But I didn't know the level of drugs you were doing. I thought you were just doing the MDMA occasionally here and there, like when you would go out. I didn't know.
But I was going out every night.
Yeah.
I was
I didn't think about it in that way.
Even if I wasn't doing Ciroc stuff, by this point I was being paid to host so many parties in Miami that literally I'd have one day off, and then I would have my residencies as a DJ as well. I was doing Thursday nights at Libertine. Then Friday I would be hosting something and then going out after hours. Then Saturday I'd be hosting Cameo or somewhere and then going out after hours. Then, you know, I'd be out partying all day Sunday, maybe make it to Live or not, or go to the Illegal Warehouse and DJ. So it was just non-stop. Like the last 2 years, it just got out of hand because it was continuous. I was always focused. Who's in the room? Who do I need to meet? Like dot connecting and figuring out this and that, and the moving artists, and you know, it was fun, but not this kind of fun. This kind of fun was free. Like I had freedom, and then it just, you know, it got to the point where I was really unraveling. And then I got booked to open up for a really big DJ, Local Dice. Shout out to Local Dice, who's a good friend of mine. And he took me out to dinner with his wife. And he sat me down. He said, you must have something. I know you haven't been asking anybody for any favors because you would have called me. And I've spoken to a few other people. And like, for you to get yourself booked to open up for me, WMC, you must have something. He's like, so I will help you, but you have to move back to Europe. He's like, Miami is just a tiny part of it. Like Europe is where it's at. And he's like, and to be honest, I can see that Miami is killing you. He's like, you need to come home. And I thank God for him. Like he saved my life. He completely saved my life. And he booked me to play in Amnesia and Pasha that summer in Ibiza. And at this point, like I'd lost everything. I'd lost all my money. I literally was a wreck. But funnily enough, in my apartment, I probably had, you know, $50,000 worth of stuff if I sold it, that I still was attached to things. So I'll get to how I learned the law of attachment. And so I moved back to UK, and at that time, you know, I left Miami. I got on that plane like a confident DJ. I was like, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna smash it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and blah blah blah. And something happened in that flight. When I landed and I saw my parents, you know, I'm half Italian, half Spanish. My parents are older, they had me late. And when I saw them, and also as well, like I was high, I got high off before I got on the plane, landed there, and like, the energy was I've suddenly felt like the realization of like, I've lost everything, and I'm now moving back home with my parents, you know, and it's like I hit rock bottom. I realized like, oh my God, I am done, you know, like, and that was very traumatic, along with all the other traumas that I didn't really realize were unraveling. Because now looking back on it, had Chris not died, had I not been raped, had all these things not happened, I am very sure I would not have started taking drugs. You know, it was like I was looking for the escape, I guess. And the first year that I was here in the UK, I got to know the whole entire music scene and partied every weekend the same way. I thought coming here it would settle down, not realising that the UK underground scene is no joke either. There's things that you can go to for days if you want to. And I got worse, even more lost, because at least in Miami I had the beach, I had my friends, I had, you know, if I did step out, I still was me, you know, like everyone didn't know what was going on. Here I had none of that. I was suddenly a nobody because I had not spent any time in the UK, which was a mistake. But I guess I needed that solitude. I needed to go all the way down to come back up.
Yeah, it's like you have to be humbled.
Yeah.
It's like a humbling experience. And then just in my transitions of trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do and letting go and just, till now, I just turned 45 and I'm still finding and discovering and letting go and taking responsibility and accountability. And I feel like when you're able to do those things, it's like what do you say? It was like like paying back your karma.
Yeah, big time. But I mean, as well, like you say, where we got into it so young and in such a big way, we never really had the time to discover ourselves, who we really were without that.
Yeah.
You know,
because we became. It's like for me, I became a stylist.
Yeah.
And everything about me was 50 Cent. It was, I gotta go to work. I gotta go on this tour. I gotta go here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss your wedding. I'm sorry, I'm gonna miss this funeral. I'm sorry, because I gotta go. I'm not gonna be here. I was very fortunate to be there for the birth of my 2 nephews. But it was so much that I missed and that I sacrificed, and there was no thought about it.
No.
Wedding? Oh, my friend is getting married? Sorry, girl, I'm not going to be able to make it because I got to work.
No.
Oh, you having a baby shower? And this is like, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And it was it's probably why a lot of my friends stopped being my friends, because I wasn't being a friend. You know, I was laser focused on my career.
In my mind, all I was thinking was 50, bust up, puff. You know, like it was like, work.
Yeah.
There was nothing else. You know, I remember when I did my job interview with Puff, and he asked me if I had any hobbies. I was like, my job is my hobby. You know, like everything was my job, my
we
work.
Ate, slept,
everything.
and party. Like
Yeah,
my
party.
hobby was partying, because that was the only time that I was really able to see my friends or to be out with people, because everyone went out at night. So it's where you could go and spend your money and show off that you was making money. It's where you would go and show off that you had nice clothes and had nice bags, and we kept, all my friends were beautiful, and we all, it's like nightlife that was where you got to go display all the fruits of your labor. No one saw that I didn't sleep sleep was, you slept when you slept. It's like why, when I entered into film and television, why it was so easy for me to stay up for long amounts of time, and my turnaround, because we didn't turn around, there was no turnaround. It's funny, because have you ever seen that post that Lady Gaga's like, it was show, party, plane, show, party, plane, that was our life.
Yeah, pretty
literally.
much, consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was insane. But yeah, going back to like kind of now looking back on it, because at the time I didn't know what was happening to me. I was like, what? And at the time I was very much in the like, why is this happening to me, rather than what is this teaching me, which is now my attitude to everything.
Yeah.
But it was very like, what have I done? I guess as well, going back to what we used to do, your problems could never be in the space when you were working.
Yeah, we didn't have problems.
There was, we didn't have them. They didn't exist. And to be fair, back then, I didn't have problems because I would solve them very quickly. Whatever it was.
We thought we were solving them very quickly.
Yes.
Because we would just move on, and we never gave ourselves time to process. We never gave ourselves time to grieve. My grandmother died on November 3rd. My friend's birthday was November 3rd. I was out November 3rd. I was partying November 3rd. We buried my grandmother. I just never really processed that. I never processed like when 50 let me go, which was, I didn't realize until later on how traumatic that was, because it was a breakup. It's
you give them your everything.
Yeah, it's like a breakup. And then on top of it being like a breakup, it's the betrayal. And then you're hearing the stories of all the people who had things to say about you and who were against you and who contributed to that, and you're just like, oh my God, I gave you everything, and I would do anything for anybody, and and it's like, in this time you really had to sit down, take accountability, learn, let go, and really face yourself. Like for me, it was during the pandemic. I had to, like, it was time that I in my whole entire like career of working, that the longest time that I had off.
Yeah. For me, no. I actually lived in the ceremony house during the whole entire lockdowns, and they were having retreats and all kinds of stuff. So that was my healing time. But before
so tell me about that. What was the final moment when you was like, okay, this is it. I can't do this no more. I need to.
I started asking the universe for help. I got to that point where I was like, I cannot get out of this. You know, like in my mind, there was always this part of me that was like, I am going to be okay. I'm going to change this up. I'm going to be okay. It's going to get better. And then I couldn't see that anymore. It was like, how am I going to get better? Like, I cannot see a way out. And then when I was in London, like I said, I got lost for another year, got worse. And then I started asking for help. And then I met a Reiki master. She was introduced to me by a DJ called Laidlaw, who had just moved back from Miami. Shout out to him. And he kept saying to me, your energy reminds me of this woman that I was really good friends with him in Ibiza. She's a Reiki master. I really want to introduce you to her. And then one day she happened to go to this day party because her daughter raved in that kind of scene. So she and she used to be a party girl. But had a baby young, so her daughter still went out, and she was at this party, and I started speaking to her, and she started telling me about Reiki, and you know, I felt very called to try this. But she was about to go back to Ibiza, and I started thinking, like, I need to go to Ibiza. That's my island. That's like, you know, where I started. You know, I started going there at 13. You know, my mum was taking me to all these like big parties, Manumission, and insane time I had with her. And she also taught me how to move. Like, Mum, if I put my drink down and took my eyes off it for a second, she was like, that's no longer your drink. And then I'd have to wait until she brought me one. You know, we'd go into clubs, and the first thing we'd do is walk around the whole club to find out where all the fire exits were.
Oh, your mom was so good.
Yeah, she was just like, you know, you have to know how to move. And you know, I'd see girls like sliding down the walls completely drunk or off their heads on drugs, and she's like, do you want to ever look like that? And you know, when you're 13, you're like, no, you know, like, and it really, like, she taught me how to move. Because my mum she didn't drink or take drugs ever. So it was like, she made me quite sensible with my partying. Yeah, I had this feeling that I needed to go back to the islands. Even though I had DJ'd there the year before, but at that point I was so off my face that I honestly, I could just about, I had lost my trust in myself. I didn't, even like the mixing, I couldn't trust if it was right. Like, I completely, like, disconnected from it completely. I didn't know what to do. And at this point, I'd left everything. I wasn't known in the UK. My parents were putting pressure on me to go back into the music business, but now I felt like it was a very dark world that I didn't want anything to do with. Yeah, suddenly I met this Reiki master, and then I saw her again a few months later. She'd popped back to the UK. I was at a boat party on Hackney Wick. I think it was the Sunday morning. I'd been out since Friday, and as I was leaving, she came in with that same DJ. He'd stopped by her house on the way there, and she gave him a lift, and he managed to convince her to come in, which thank God. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, I can't leave, you know, you're here now. And within 3 weeks, I had found somewhere to stay for free in Ibiza for a few weeks. And I got booked to DJ for Rihanna's Fenty launch party when she first launched Fenty Cosmetics. Yeah, she told me about DMT and this facilitator that did it ceremonially. Shout out to the soul surgeon. And so I went back to London and I did my first Reiki session, which at the time I didn't really know what he had done. I felt something, but I couldn't quite understand what. And then a week later, I did my first DMT ceremony, and that was unbelievable. I remember I opened my eyes, and he said to me, "You're a medicine woman," and I was like, "I'm a medicine woman. I don't think I'm ever doing that again." He had to convince me that I was alive. Like, that's how insane, like how deep I went and where I went. And I was convinced that I went somewhere but had not come back the same person. So, you know, at first it was like the resistance of letting go. But once I did, it was phenomenal. And I remember going back home, driving home and looking at my eyes in the mirror, and I could see that something had shifted. I was different. And then I was going back to Ibiza about a week or so later, and I remember I stopped. At the time, I used to always hang out with my drug dealer and his girlfriend. We used to always go to the after parties. That's who I was with. So I left and went back to Ibiza, and this time I was a completely different person. I wasn't going out all the time. I was only going to the villa parties. I was barely doing any drugs. Drugs they stopped working completely. Like literally, the only thing that would happen is I would be awake. Like it would keep me awake, but there was no effect. I didn't feel high. I didn't feel connected or anything like that. So I was barely touching it. And then it was coming to the end of the season, and I met up with Sammy. It was the first time. She had gone back to Ibiza, but we kept missing each other, and we were both going to the Paradise closing. And when we got there, I'd heard one of our friends was playing, but he wasn't. A guy called Paolo. And but I got it in my head that he was playing, so we started looking for him. So and we couldn't find him anywhere. And then eventually I saw him when he was coming out of the bathroom. He saw me and he just grabbed me and hugged me and said, "Steve's dead." And I was like, "Who?" Because I was obviously in Ibiza. It's like, they're both dead. The couple had just died the night before. And but that changed everything for a lot of people. A lot of people calmed down after that happened, from the UK scene anyway. And it definitely changed a lot in me. You know, then I became more dedicated to getting better, and I carried on with Reiki for a while. And from that day, everything changed. Like my drug use, like literally was very minimal. I stopped going out as much. And then I went into doing Reiki training, doing my level 1, level 2. I started practicing as a Reiki facilitator, and I felt like I could not, you know, be doing drugs and doing that. And pretty much after that, I stopped taking drugs completely.
And you haven't done drugs since when?
I couldn't really say, because I don't really count. You know, like I never was a big alcohol person anyway. I don't drink, but I do have an occasional beer with my dad when he makes fresh pizza. But it's been years. 6 years ago when I started this journey, so pretty much around that time, I just completely lost interest in it, and realised that what it was doing to me. Like when I started to get my clarity back, and literally it's like all anxiety left my. I was never an anxious person, but while I was taking drugs, I was an anxious person. And so I went from feeling distraught and betrayed to, oh, this is nice. And that's where the addiction wound came in. So something so simple later on played out in food. That's where it started. Because every time anything would upset me,
Then you eat.
I would eat. And then when I got older, it became smoking. Then when I moved to the States, it became caffeine. So now I realize.
And she does not smoke anymore, because you used to smoke cigarettes. You do not smoke cigarettes anymore.
No. And my caffeine intake is very minimal now. But like that was the last one that I battled with, because it would come in every so often. But I remember when I lived in New York, my accountant worked out that in the 6 years that I lived in New York, I spent $50,000 at Starbucks. And getting my nails done. $50,000
in Starbucks.
In Starbucks.
And you know what's so crazy? And I'm not judging, because I'm sure a lot of us, if we added up how much we spent in Starbucks, we would be surprised. And Starbucks is not as big as it is because we're not spending money. Like we spend, that's crazy. $50,000 in 6 years on Starbucks.
Yeah, I was getting 4 iced ventis a day, because I'd get one on the way to work, and then as soon as I get to work,
you get another.
Veronica, Chris's wife, would be like, "Let's go and get lattes." So we'd go, and you know, we would get skinny lattes, obviously, but then I'd have one probably around lunchtime, because I'd start to crash, because it was always vanilla latte, skinny vanilla latte. And obviously all that shit is gonna just make you crash. So then I'd have to have another one. And then if I was going out with her or going out in general, then you know, on the way home I'd have another one. So, you know, and these things were huge, and they cost like $8 or whatever it was each time, plus then whatever snacks or whatever I would get. But like every single day.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
I'm amazed that I didn't have anxiety. Like
50 grand, that's a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah, so that was a big addiction, and then I went through a second addiction with Starbucks when I lived in Miami, before I got too much into drugs, because obviously that's what was keeping me awake. But yeah, so then caffeine, and then eventually when I came to drugs in my 30s, you know, so what I realized was that I'd always been an addict. I just didn't know, you know, because you don't really...
And we associate being an addict with drugs.
And alcohol.
And we don't associate being an addict as shopping, like, or eating, or, I mean...
Even that
sex,
shopping.
or, I mean...
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah, you know, we don't realize, we just don't.
You just want that dopamine fix. And it doesn't matter where it comes from as long as you get it. And what you're doing is masking, because like where you're constantly stimulating your nervous system, which is also putting you into overdrive and putting you into fight or flight mode, you know, and then you have to keep feeding it. You don't realize what you're actually doing to your body and what is actually like below the iceberg, you know. So when you do crack, if you crack too late in life, it's big, you know.
We don't realize how much addiction is in our everyday life.
And as well, it doesn't help because now, even with the marketing, it's like constant consume.
Yeah, it's like,
and all things that are terrible for you.
Yeah,
you know,
I
like
mean, look at Instagram.
Yeah.
How many of us? You wake up, first thing you do, pick up your phone, scroll. Every chance you get, you scroll. Because it's not a physical thing that you feel like, but a lot of us don't even realize that you can't even stop doing it.
And it's taking so much of your energy and your life force.
And your time.
Because this is the thing, when you have an addiction, it drains your life force. Like it does. And you get tired, you get lazy, you procrastinate. Like from what I can see, at first I just thought it was me with the ADHD, but like then I'm speaking to other people that don't have it, but are procrastinating as much or worse than me. And I really put this down to the phone, the scrolling. Because I know that as well, sometimes when I do scroll for a little too long, I feel very tired. My eyes hurt, you know, like, and then suddenly like the things that I was about to do were like, oh, I'll do that later or tomorrow, you know, and then that never comes. So like this is one that I'm currently battling with, because it's like, unfortunately, it is very much in your life, you know, for whatever reason you do need the phone.
And our phone is with us all the time, so when you do sit down for a moment, it's like, it's what you just do.
Yeah, it's like right now we live in a time where, you know, your level of consciousness and putting your well-being first is more important than ever. I mean, it's always been important, but now it's like there is a spiritual war going on, and they are trying to take us. Like,
it's deep. I mean, it's deep. We could go on and talk about this
big
for
time.
Hours and hours. But because this is now it has become a 2-part episode, and we have to come to a closing at some point. But I will have Debbie back on again, because she is one of my dear friends, and I've seen her from we've known each other almost 20 years.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
Yeah,
but
it is 20 years. I met you in 2003. God.
Because you were there when Maddie was born, and he was 17. But either way, I would like you to share with everyone where you are now, if you're working on anything, how we can support you.
It's actually funny because I'm going through a shift again, because I did find myself going into service, very much so, to pay back my karma. And like I said, I was living in a retreat house during the lockdowns, where a lot of work happened for myself. I've also, you know, been abroad doing retreats. I went to the Amazon jungle, and I spent a couple of months out there training and doing my Kambo diet. Kambo is it's not a plant medicine because it comes from a toad, where they burn the little holes and put the frog venom, and then you purge a lot.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. But I mean,
I actually beat the record for the most amount of points any woman had ever done. Again, going to the strength of my body, finally getting back my strength. So yeah, I was very deep in that world. And with you know, I've got different modalities. I'm a Kambo practitioner and Kundalini activation facilitator, Jaguar shamanism. So there's a lot of stuff. Like, if you're in trouble, come and see. But
also too, I want to, because you know a lot of people, and you were in this industry, and you were, I mean, it's like you were, and then you disappeared. And I'm sure there's tons of people who would love to hear that you are doing well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's tons of people who, I mean, you would love to hear that you weren't, but this is for all the people who did truly love you, because there was a lot of people who did truly love you, to let them know that, yeah,
I'm good.
This is new and in between, and this is her in between, and I want people to know that Debby is still here.
I am, and like I said, I'm going through a shift at the moment, because what happened was in my last plant medicine journey when I was in Spain, the medicine told me that she wants me to get behind the decks again, be a different kind of DJ, make those sets ceremonies, even if the people don't know. But like I just did my first set in 7 years a couple of weeks ago at a spiritual festival, and behind the booth I opened up space, created the container, I did an invocation prayer calling in certain energies to come and fill that space, and after my set people were coming up to me and saying they felt things that were in that prayer. So she wants me to go back as a DJ in the way I used to play, but also in the more ecstatic dance world, and possibly even kind of get back into music, but I would only do that as a consultant, not as a manager. But that, and she wants me to write my book. So I'm in the early process of writing my book, which I've been told would be a great TV show as well. So 50, shout me. And really and truly, I feel like I had to go down that path to kind of really understand how to work with energy, you know, like for what I'm going to do now, how I want to work with energy to help people when I'm like playing or whatever role I take, you know, even when I do write this book. All of it is because of, you know, the message that I want to put out there, the energy I want to put out there, to bring people back to themselves. You know, I want to be part of that collective that makes that happen. There's a lot of us working for the light, working to help people before they have to experience what we went through, you know. I mean, even if you do, there's always there's a way out, obviously, but to be there as like a, you know, an anchor for those people that need that kind of help, to inspire that there is a way out and things can get better. I mean, you know, there's not a single thing I would change. In fact, I would probably, if I had known how well I would be on the other side, I probably would have enjoyed myself a lot more without feeling guilty. Because that was the only thing, I used to feel guilt. Like, I shouldn't be doing this is wrong. But like, if I'd known that on the other side, how free I would become, and, you know, the level of consciousness that I've got to now, the fact that there's still more to go, there's still more to learn. Like, I'm always learning new stuff, new ways. Like now I'm very much in the whole Kundalini kind of meditation way, rather than relying on plants to get me there. I found a new way. My channel is opening up even more clearly and better. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited finally, because it's been a while, you know. Like I really got stuck as well, like I said, in the healing path. It can also really pull you there, but I understand that I had to be in that kind of like place of service to pay back, you know, what I helped create, you know, like not putting the blame on us.
No, but it's like, just recognizing that it's like, you know,
we played our
because
part.
We can judge. You could go, oh my God, look at these girls now, they outside with no pants on, and you know, everyone is getting their butts done and their breasts done, and you know, we can get caught up in judging what we see now because it's different from what we did, but what we did contributed to what we see now, because at the end of the day, we were told to make these girls more sexy. And then, you know, this is what you're watching as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old. And this is what the little boys are watching. And then,
and the way they're being treated on the videos.
It's
like,
you know, we did, not to say that I don't take blame and you know, but I did contribute to...
I did though for a while. Like I really was just like, oh my God, what have you done? Even the quality of the music and the lyrical content, it's like as if it's been created to make people more stupid. Like it's like I honestly, like I listened to some of it and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's like it hurts me to even like I sometimes think like Chris probably left us because he knew where it was going and he did not want to do that to himself. Like he probably is rolling in his grave, like hearing the state of what hip hop has become. I even remember some of the artists when, like, you know, some of these kind of like more, it's not mumble rap, I mean then it led to that, which was, you know, exactly what it is anyway. But like all this new rap that was coming out that was just very hooky. I remember some of the rappers being like you know, what is this shit? And now they're doing it themselves, and it's like,
because it's really about what makes the money.
yeah, of course. I always did. I'm always driven to what makes the money.
And this is what the world is becoming: what makes the money, and doing anything to make the money, and attaching yourself. It's like we've made God, money, our God.
Yeah. And as well, I remember like in the first couple of years of my journey on the spiritual path, I did not listen to any music whatsoever, and like music was my life. But then I got into medicine music. Like there is some amazing music in the whole medicine world. There's obviously the chants and the prayers that the indigenous people do, and remixes of that. And then there's like all these people that have either come to the plant medicines, because especially ayahuasca really opens up the music channel. And like I have never sang my whole adult life until I was in a ceremony in Ibiza, and I just started singing. And one of the songs that I knew was a song to banish evil and darkness, and I didn't think I was capable of singing, and then all of a sudden I did. So you know, not saying that all medicine artists have done plant medicines. They may have, you know, found their way through Kundalini or meditation, but there's so much beauty in that medicine world. Of that music, that it brought me back to music, and I found the love for it again. I mean, I definitely want to remix a lot of medicine songs into house tracks and play them in the dance, because they're also so positive. The message.
I mean, see, they have clubs now that play, like there's gospel rap, there's like you have.
There's even a priest that's a house techno DJ.
Listen, I mean, to be able to sing, to play instrument, I feel like that is a gift.
Yeah.
A 100% gift, and what you choose to do with your gift sometimes is not always right, but you know, it's not for me to judge again.
Yeah.
But you know, it to each his own. So you did say you're not on social media right now, but
I am Debby Coda.
Oh, okay. So
DEBBY CODA.
Okay, good. So you are on social media, so I'll make sure that we post that down here, and people need to, you know, just
Connect.
Yeah, connect. And it's not to connect to judge. It's even if you have questions, like, you know, and this is not a debate. It's not a right or wrong. It's not a this is evil, this is not, this is right, this is wrong. At the end of the day, everything happens how it's supposed to happen. Us having a conversation, us just even sitting here and having this conversation.
You being in London at this time.
Exactly, may spark something in someone else, may bring someone to the realization that they do need help, or that they do need to get back to God. But we don't know. But all I know is that this is someone that is dear and true to me, and I wanted to have her on my podcast, and she agreed, and I'm very happy to see that she's smiling, and you're here, and you know, and your story is amazing, and I'm sure there's so many other people who could relate to what you have been through, and just to remind you that you are great, and this is just sometimes this is, we have to remind ourselves and each other of our greatness, because we've done some real amazing things.
I know. And some amazing experiences.
Yeah, we have, and we are like, even listening to us reminiscing. We're like, oh, remember when we went here? Remember when we went there? Remember when you did this? Remember when you saved me from this? Remember when you introduced me to? That's how I got Lewis Hamilton. Debbie was friends with Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton needed a stylist. He was trying to change his look. Debbie contacted me, and that's how I was able to meet Lewis Hamilton.
I forgot about that.
And even though that relationship didn't grow to be into a long relationship, I planted the seed that allowed him to be open to fashion. He came to me and he had canvas Reeboks and super dry and not one tattoo.
Yeah.
And now he's like a fashion icon. And not to say that he's a fashion icon because of me, but all it does is takes a little seed. Debbie suggested me. I opened him up to this, and then that opened him up to that, and then now he's like Met Gala, you know?
Yeah.
So
no.
it's
I love him. He's such a good person. Like
100%.
Such a good soul.
100%. And I was never mad. I do wish that is one person that I feel like if I had my business sense, was a little more keen and together, I would have been able to maintain his decline.
You were so busy though.
Yeah.
You were still, this is what you were doing.
No, I had just left Italy, so I still, it was just a lot going on at that time. But it wasn't meant to be. And I mean, it was meant to be for what it was meant to be, and that was it. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that you connected to many people so more. I mean, I've got many clients just knowing someone or someone knowing and just saying, hey, oh, I know this person, oh, connect with me or this or whatever the case may be. So Debbie has been my friend for a long time, and I am happy to see that you are smiling and that you are thinking about going back into music. I can't wait for you to get back to DJing, and you know, and I can't wait to do another episode to just let you guys know where in a year where she's gonna be at, or you know what you're gonna be doing, or maybe I'll be working on the show that you wrote. Who knows, you know?
True. Or you could help me co-write it.
Listen, all kinds of things. But
my one last piece of advice is be very careful what you're listening to.
no, it's true, because
you know?
I changed the music that I listen to, because I had to change everything that goes in. I had to change everything that went into my mind. I changed what I watched. I changed what I listened to. I changed what I read. I changed who I listened to, and it's made a big difference. So it's real. It's definitely real. So take her advice. Be conscious of you know what you're saying. It's power in words. It's power in what you hear, and just you know, think about that. So Debby Coda, I'll make sure that her Instagram is down here. I'll make sure that I keep everybody up to date when your book is coming out, when your show is coming out, and I'm just happy that you are here and that you agreed to do my podcast, and that
I'm grateful that you asked me.
Thank you. I love you, Debbie.
I love you too.
I do really. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm Mia Quinn Maddox. This is Debby Coda. New and in between, season 4. Check us out. I'm not really sure what day this comes out anymore because I've been just trying to pivot myself and figure out. So I'll make sure that I announce that before, so that everyone gets to see continuously the episodes, because I also had to pivot, and I'm getting myself back into you know, doing this because I do love to do this. So click like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.
Don't forget to click like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment here at New and In Between. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Mia Quinn Maddox, and this is New and In Between.